Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the I Know About It Sports podcast. I'm your host, Noah Arnold, and it is a very chilly Thursday night, October the 17th, 2024. The weather's getting a lot cooler, or not cooler, it's getting cold, and it is a busy time in sports. Lot of stuff to talk about. I said last episode that I would be doing an NBA preview this week. I'll probably do it the next episode on Tuesday. Pretty sure I'll do it there. Because, it's a jam-packed episode here. I'm going to talk about some stuff that's happening tonight and has just wrapped up. As time I'm recording, it's at 10:06 p.m. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the WNBA Game 3 that was last night. Kind of give a preview to potentially the final game of the series tomorrow night. Do my college football predictions. I'm going to do a preview of the game I will be calling in between Allen and Benedict. And I'll do a little preview or lineup for SmackDown, which I'll also be at tomorrow night in Columbia, South Carolina at the Colonial Life Arena. Starting stuff that just happened. The MLB, I'm not really a baseball guy, but I watched a little bit of this game. Game 3, ALCS in Cleveland. Guardians down 0-2 in the series against the Yankees, trying to give themselves a puncher's chance in the series. Move to the top of the 8th. Guardians are up 3-1, but then Aaron Judge hit a 2-run homer, tie it 3-3. Immediately after, Giancarlo Stanton hit a homer, 4-3 lead for the Yankees. And it is all the momentum hanging in the 9th, where we had another homer. Gleyber Torres for the Yankees hit another homer, over 400 feet, 5-3 lead heading into the bottom of the 9th. It looked like the Guardians were about to go down 0-3. And if you know anything about sports, if you go down 0-3 in a series, you don't win. And the Guardians knew that, and they came out swinging instantly. Pinch hitter John Kinsey Noel, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, had a 2-run homer, sent the extra innings. In the bottom of the 10th, David Fry came off the bench. The substitute pinch hitter hit an absolute rocket, 400 feet. You knew it was gone as soon as it left his bat for a 2-run homer, walk-off to win it 7-5 for the Guardians. Game 4 is tomorrow night, which will be Friday for me. Game 4, Guardians trying to tie the series up 2-2. Yankees trying to take a commanding 3-1 lead. And currently, as I'm recording this, the Dodgers are up 5-2 against the Yankees midway through the 5th. In college football news, currently, Boston College is mounting a massive comeback in Lane Stadium against Virginia Tech, as they made it a 28-21 ball game late third quarter, as the Hokies were up 28-0 to start half. And it looked like, all the momentum was lost for Boston College. And they came out with a 21-point third quarter to make it a one-score game. Sunbelt action currently. Marshall looking to hold off Georgia State early fourth quarter, 28-20 after Marshall just kicked a field goal. Thunder and Herd had a 25-10 lead heading into the half in that one, as Georgia State's mounted a big comeback. But moving on. Last night, WNBA series tied 1-1. Games. The series is in Minnesota now for the next 2 games. Liberty were down 15 points. They came all the way back, take a 2-1 series lead on the road. They're now 1 win away from capturing their first championship in franchise history. They are 0-5 all time in the finals. And the game ended on a 38-foot step-back 3 from Sabrina Ionescu to win it 80-77 with a second left. One of the craziest shots I've ever seen. And just want to remind all you, on All-Star Saturday night, when Sabrina was in that 3-point contest with Steph Curry that she almost won, Kenny Smith suggested that women cannot make shots from that distance. Yeah, I remember that. And, once again for Liberty, Stewie has dominated this series. Had 30 and 11, going along with 4 blocks. Nafisa Collier finally showed up in this series. Got 22 points, along with 9 rebounds and 5 steals. That's the MVP runner-up that we thought that she was in the season and that we finally seen in this series. Courtney Williams struggled. for the Lynx, but Kayla McBride stepped up, the other guard for the Lynx, hitting 5 threes, but it still wasn't enough. And now the Liberty, all the momentum, they're one win away from getting their first championship. And now we're moving on very quickly. Only 5 minutes we had that talk. That was, sped through that one. Now we're on the college football predictions. Everybody loves these. I'm very good at these. I went 5-5 last week. So, yeah, great record. Friday night, late Friday night action, Oklahoma State takes on number 13 BYU out in Provo, Utah. Oklahoma State, I thought they would be a playoff contender to start the season. I thought they were going to win the Big 12 and go to the playoffs. Alan Bowman is a 7th-year college player. He's been in college for 7 years, and he's still just completely ass. There's no other way around it. He's terrible. He needs to get a job. Listen, I recently have gotten a LinkedIn. I don't know how to use it, but he needs to do that too. Get a job. Ollie Gordon was meant to be the Heisman frontrunner. And outside of week 1, where he had 126 and 3 touchdowns against an FCS opponent in South Dakota State, which I will talk about later, he's only cracked over 50 yards rushing once and only has 1 touchdown since week 1. And BYU, they've been the surprise team in the Big 12 alongside Arizona State. Jake Razloff, I don't know how you say that. QB for BYU, he's been incredible this season. He also leads the team in rushing. So a Jewish quarterback is leading BYU to their best season they've had in years. A Jewish guy is going to the Mormon University and is the current heart and soul of the entire athletic department. Just one of the craziest stories so far in this college football season. Moving on to the Saturday slate. At noon, the 6th-ranked Miami Hurricanes travel to Louisville, take on the Cardinals. Miami wins a lot of games close. Louisville's last 4 games have all been close, the last 3 being one-score games. They're 1-2 in those games, in those one-score games. Last week, they won at Virginia 24-20. Tyler Shuck kind of picks up a lot where Jack Plummer left off as QBs who are 7-8-year guys. They should have an actual job, but they're still playing college football. Brahms is a great QB coach, knows how to take these old dudes playing against the young college guys, I guess. Speaking of guys that they got into a transfer, Ja'Cory Brooks, the receiver they got from Alabama, has completely revived his career after he got an up-and-down tenure with the Tide, ending in injury. However, so far this season, luck is on the U side, and they had a much-needed bye week last week after their cross-country trip out to Berkeley to play the Cal Bears. The Cards are playing their 5th game in a row, their 5th week in a row they're playing a game. They also have a terrible pass defense, and they're going up against the best quarterback in the country. So I'm going with the Canes in this one, but this will be a good game. Nebraska, they travel to 16th-ranked Indiana. Hoosiers and the Cornhuskers meet. First-year man Kirk Cignetti for the Hoosiers, for Indiana Hoosiers, has continued his winning ways from James Madison. He's brought over Curtis Rourke. Did I say that? He spent 5 years with the Ohio Bobcats out in the MAC. He was a winner there. Cignetti brought him over, and both those two are continuing their winning ways now in Bloomington for a historically terrible program. And yeah, Roque has came in and taken this to a whole new level, a 14-2 touchdown to interception ratio. And the Hoosiers, they've had a 6-0 start for the first time in God knows how long. But they didn't exactly play the toughest first half slate for any team that's faced this season. They have not played a team with a better than 500 record. So this will be the biggest test the Hoosiers have by far all season here against the 5-1 Cornhuskers. Now let's talk about the Cornhuskers. Matt Rule, once again, in his second season with a college program, has made a crazy jump from year 1 to 2. Nebraska has had a tougher schedule than Indiana. Well, I mean, way tougher schedule, but they haven't had the hardest schedule, to say the least. Their biggest win on the season was 28-10 in Week 2 against Colorado. But they played one ranked opponent all year. And they lost at home to Illinois in a game they should have won on many of occasions. But this game is going to be the biggest game that Bloomington, Indiana has seen in a long time. It will feature a 6-year college quarterback in Curtis Roke, taking on a true freshman quarterback in the Patrick Mahomes Light Edition, the Patrick Mahomes Great Value Edition, the Patrick Mahomes Halloween Party City Edition in Dylan Raiola. But I think this Husker defense keeps the Husker defense keeps this offense in the game just long enough to Raiola makes a play that will be put him on the map, get him talked about for years to come as potentially one of the best quarterbacks in college football in the next few years. And he will get a huge victory at a top 20 opponent. I'm picking the Huskers to take down the Hoosiers. We're going to go from that to probably the second biggest game we'll have all day. The 7th-ranked Tide travel to Knoxville to take on the 11th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers. It's the third Saturday in October. And this will be a fork in the road, a butterfly effect game that will affect not just these two programs, but potentially all of college football for years to come. Both teams coming in this game after two disastrous games. Both teams lost on the exact same day on the road to unranked opponents, with Alabama losing at Vanderbilt, and then just a few hours later, Tennessee losing at Arkansas. And then they come the following week where they have at home against struggling teams. In Tennessee's case, they were playing Florida. Alabama's case, they were playing South Carolina. They both struggle mightily against those teams, both winning on the very last second. And so this is going to be a big fork in the road for both these teams, both these programs. The Tide's offense has been shaky. Their defense has been abysmal. But on offense, you have Jalen Milroe, you have Ryan Williams. They didn't have great performances against the Gamecocks a week ago. And they haven't been able to run it all year. Both sides of the line have been beaten up, to say the least. And, Alabama's got the talent. Jalen Milroe has won big games before, just all against Georgia. Ryan Williams, 17 years old, and he is dominating college football. So they have the talent, but can they put it together? The defense, very shaky. They can't get off the field on third downs. And they got ran through by Carolina and Vandy. But on the other side, Tennessee has had a struggling offense. Nico Imalavia, young quarterback, has all the tools, but he has struggled against SEC opponents. The only consistency that Tennessee has had on offense has been Dylan Sampson. The running back has been sensational, second in the country in rushing touchdowns with 15. And if it wasn't for Ashton Jeanty, maybe he'd be talked about a lot more as one of the best backs in college football, if not the best, if it wasn't for Ashton Jeanty. But, yeah, the Vols, they've struggled moving the ball outside of the run game. They've been shut out in the first half. The last two games, they were down 3-0 heading into the halftime break. And so this game's going to be interesting, to say the least. We have a defense that can't get off the field versus an offense that can't do anything, and I think that's going to decide this game. Tennessee's got a great defense. I think them and the Bama offense is going to be a chess match. But whoever wins between the Tide defense and the Vols offense is going to win the game. That's who I think is going to decide this game. And after seeing them get pushed around by Vanderbilt, after seeing them get punched in the mouth by South Carolina, I don't think the Tide defense is going to go to Neyland and hold off Tennessee's offense long enough. I'm going with the Vols to win a low-scoring slugger, and this will be the second time in a row that the Vols will down the Tide in Neyland Stadium. And maybe, like last time, the goalpost will end up in the river, just like last time. Moving on down to Atlanta. I just realized this game is going to be played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, not Bobby Dodd Stadium, where the Yellow Jackets play their home games, which, in my personal opinion, is utter woke nonsense that we're not having this game at a college campus. But moving on to actually talking about the actual game, Notre Dame's loss to Northern Illinois gets just more baffling and inexplainable every week. Like, there's just no way to explain this game, how they lost that game. Both of these teams are extremely similar. They have veteran quarterbacks that have transferred in who play efficient football, not like the highest stat guys, but they play efficient passing, and they are very underrated with their legs. Not a lot of people talk about Riley Leonard for Notre Dame and Haynes King for Georgia Tech, their quarterbacks being able to run the ball. And now we're going to move to Georgia Tech. Last week, they had one of the craziest game-winning touchdowns I've ever seen. If you didn't see this, Georgia Tech, the game started at 34 after NC State. I think they kicked a field goal. Georgia Tech was just trying to run the ball out or run the clock out to send it to overtime. And they broke free and ran a 68-yard touchdown with like 20 seconds left to send it to win the game. One of the craziest innings of a game I've ever seen. And you feel for Tar Heel fans. Mac Brown is very old. He's not very good at football anymore. This team has lost it ever since Cade Klubnik just shredded them in that ACC title game a couple years ago. And so, but this is going to be a hard-nosed, hard-hitting, pad-popping, run-the-ball game. And I just think the Irish just have more talent. They're more battle-hardened, battle-driven. I think the Irish pull this one out in Atlanta. It should be in Bobby Dodd Stadium, not Mercedes-Benz. But I think the Irish pull that one off. Your TV in the background, I was keeping up with some of the other games. Moving on to a ranked matchup that nobody's talking about because Michigan is terrible. They should not be ranked. The 24th ranked Michigan Wolverines traveled to number 22 Illinois. It's a huge game in Champaign. CBS will be in Champaign, Illinois. Who would have thought? What a season so far by the alumni. Illinois, last week, they played a baffling high-scoring game against Purdue where they almost blew a 24-point lead at halftime to a true freshman quarterback making his first career start. But for Illinois, they found the quarterback. Luke Altmaier has been sensational for Illinois, completely revived his college career after transferring in. And Michigan, I mean, their offense has been they better off running a wing T, triple option style football rather than trying to run traditional offense. I have never seen a power program struggle to throw the ball this much my entire lifetime. And I watched in person when Georgia Tech still ran a triple option. I was there twice to watch that. And they still weren't as bad as passing the ball as this Michigan team. Jack Tuttle, the former Hoosier, makes his second career start in his 5-year college career. He has been in college football for 5 years, and this is only his second time he's actually played or started, which came with Indiana back in 2021. So it's been, 3 years since he played a game? But unfortunately for the Wolverines, I don't think Tuttle can keep up with Illinois, and I think the alumni win this one. I think this is going to be a huge statement victory, even though Michigan's not great. It's going to be a statement victory, a resume-building victory for Illinois. It's going to be a party in Champaign, Illinois, for the time being. And, hopefully they don't harass a certain night worker who works there. That sounds wrong. A night restaurant. I don't know what you do. I shouldn't say night worker. That makes you sound like you work the street. Oh, dear. Anyways, moving on to Fayetteville, Arkansas. The Razorbacks host the number 8 LSU Tigers. This is a classic letdown spot. LSU just had a massive home victory at a top 10 against a top 10 opponent, and then traveled to a rival who is red hot And it's the exact same situation that Tennessee found themselves in 2 weeks ago against Arkansas, where they went after a statement victory to Fayetteville to play the Razorbacks and then lost. But unlike Tennessee, I think Nussmeier is a lot more trustworthy, and he's proven he can win these big environments like this on the road, like he did against South Carolina. So I'm going with LSU to pull this one off against Arkansas, but the Razorbacks are going to be swinging with everything they have. There's a good football team that Sam Pittman has made in Fayetteville. Game of the week. The game I probably should have led with, but I only do these in the order that they're going to happen in. All right, I'm a chronological person. I do not like the trends of subtle foreshadowing. I don't like that. So it will be the 5th-ranked Georgia Bulldogs traveling to Austin, Texas to play the number 1 team in the country, the Texas Longhorns. This is the second week in a row we've had a top 5 matchup in college football, the third on the season, and the second to feature the Georgia Bulldogs, and both times are on the road in the SEC. Longhorns look to be the best team in the country, whether it's Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning at quarterback. The Dogs had a disappointing pass defense so far this season. They kept Mississippi State in the game last week, and it cost them against Alabama. But Carson Beck has proven to be a winner. He has been one of the best quarterbacks statistically in the SEC, and I flip-flop between this game constantly. But I know Beck has been good statistically, but I don't buy it with Carson Beck. I keep saying Bennett. I don't buy it with Beck. I don't think he's the kind of guy you can rely consistently on to go on the road in an environment like this and win the big game off his arm. I know he almost did it against Bama, but I was going to say suspect tied defense. And I don't think he can keep up with this Texas defense, which is number 1 in almost every statistical category on defense. I don't think he can go on the road and do this against the Longhorns. And Georgia, I said, they have a leaky secondary. And I think we're going to see Ewers hit several deep bombs to, guys like Isaiah Bond, who has been sensational so far this season. So I'm going with Texas to pull it out against Georgia. Another game, it will not be as high scoring, but it will be Iowa and Michigan State. It is the NBC Sunday Night Football game. And Iowa has an offense. They have scored 38. They've scored 40 twice. They scored 38 once, and they scored 31 against Minnesota. And by the way, they scored 40 last week against a good Washington defense. What is going on? What is going on out there in Kinnick? The Hawkeyes. Caleb Johnson, second in the country in rushing yards, only behind Ashton Genty. This game, he will most likely eclipse 1,000 yards on the season in this game. Cade McNamara is finally healthy and playing. He has played just fine enough for the Hawkeyes to get enough victories. And so, yeah, they scored 40 last week against a Power 5 team, Washington. For the Spartans, Aiden Childs has not lived up to the hype so far. He's thrown 5 touchdowns, 8 interceptions last 3 games. He won the first 3 games, started 3-0 on the season. He looked okay. Last 3 games, he's looked bad. Granted, he did play Ohio State and Oregon the last 2 weeks, and he didn't even throw for over 170 yards. But against Boston College, he did throw for over 200 yards, but he made up for it by throwing 3 interceptions in a game they should have won out in Chestnut Hill. And, yeah, they've lost the last 2 weeks against the Buckeyes and the Ducks by a combined score of 69-17. So I'm picking the Hawkeyes to win this one, but I do think that Michigan State gets a little bit more of a bounce back. They find a little bit more of a rhythm, maybe trying to still compete for a bowl spot this season. But yeah, just a rough couple weeks for the Spartans. Now, the 10th game I'm going to talk about, the last game I'm going to talk about for predictions, is the first time on this podcast I will be predicting an FCS game. The the back-to-back national champions, the number one San Diego State Jackrabbits. I told you I was going to talk about them again. And the number 2 ranked North Dakota State Bison, who won the title in 2021 and multiple other times before then, in the Battle for the Dakota Marker. And yeah, these are the top 2 teams, the back-to-back champions, the 2021 champions, the arch rivals. Neither of these teams have lost since week 1, but they lost at Power 5 teams, including North Dakota State, who came up just a few yards short against Colorado. The Jackrabbits in this series have won the last 5 over the Bison, including in 2022 when they beat them in the national championship game. This game features maybe the best QB matchup you see on the day, at least, but especially at the FCS level, you're going to see all year. Mark Gronkowski for South Dakota State, he won the Walter Payton Award a year ago. And on the other side, Cam Miller has been the best player at the FCS level this season. He's thrown 12 touchdowns, ran for 6 touchdowns. He has yet to throw a pick. This game is going to be razor thin on Saturday, but I think if North Dakota State's defense, especially their linebacking room, is going to make a lot of plays in this game. And I don't think North Dakota State's going to lose 6 in a row to South Dakota State. As I drop my phone, hopefully I didn't bust your eardrums. I recorded this on my phone. I hit my phone. I'm excited for this game. The Fargo Dome is going to go crazy. The roof might blow off the Fargo Dome. It is going to be electric out in Fargo, West Virginia. Fargo, North Dakota. And yeah, I'm excited for this game. First, we're talking about the FCS. Speaking of FCS, I'll talk about Division II for a second. I will not predict this game because I will be calling this game for my sports announcing class. It is Allen, Benedict, Westwood High School, Blythewood, South Carolina, 7 o'clock, ESPN+. Now, granted, if you tune in to ESPN+, you're not going to hear me just because it's for a class and it'll be pre-recorded, whatever. But it'll be at Westwood High School, which is just 10 minutes away from where I live. The arch rival high school I went to Blythewood High School. Westwood is our arch rivals directly across the bridge from us. We hate them. Their stadium still stinks. It is a pain to get to. It is the PA system there stinks. The ambiance stinks. The parking lot stinks. Absolutely hate Westwood High School with all my hearts. But yet I will be calling a game in that stadium. But I'm talking about the 2 teams here. Allen, they're building their own stadium. It's just a temporary home for the Yellow Jackets there until they get a new stadium off 2 Notch Road. So, yeah, I get the Baptist stadium much as I want. I hate Westwood High School. Yeah, let's talk about the actual game, shall we? Not just a hate session of Westwood. This is not the game that it was last year. Allen comes in 1-5. Benedict comes in 2-4. Last season, it was a 7-2 Allen team traveling to a undefeated Benedict team who was 9-0 at that time. But yeah, both these teams have lost their coaches, lost multiple players. Of course, with these coaches leaving the new programs, like Chennis Berry, he went to SC State and took a bunch of his players with him to Orangeburg. For Allen, they lost their coach. He went to Clark Atlanta. He took their quarterback and their top receiver, their top receiver leads the country in receiving touchdowns. Their quarterback is now leading the country in passing touchdowns for Clark Atlanta. They even beat Allen on that second touchdown. So it has just been brutal for the Yellow Jackets this season. But it's been a brutal season for both these teams. But it's still the Battle of Hardin Street. And if you don't know, this is one of the most unique rivalries in all of sports. It is 2 universities that are next to each other. They are neighbors. And I don't mean like the campuses are pretty close. I mean, literally the campuses are on the same street. And by same street, I mean they are like, if you ever seen the RDC World video, where they talk about CVS versus Walgreens, how you see CVS's and Walgreens on like the same place. It's that. They're like next to each other, like when you see Chick-fil-A across the street from McDonald's. One of the most unique rivalries in all of sports. Like you can throw something, you can spit from a window of Allen University and hit the building of Benedict. It is that close to each other. and now they meet on the gridiron. Since Allen brought their football team back, they have yet to beat Benedict. They've played 3 straight years from 21 to 23, and those games have not even been close. But it's a new team, 2 new programs, or 2 new teams, 2 new programs, new day, new year, new me. And so this game will feature electric true freshmen on offense, and will feature the D2 leader in sacks, Israel Nokacha. For Benedict, he has 9 sacks on the season. That leads all of Division II. So if Allen can somewhat limit his game, it'll be hard. It's going to be decided for offense. These 2 dual I have hiccups, by the way. I ate chicken nuggets. I got a little bit of hiccups. I got 2 dual threat quarterbacks. Jameer Desmooks for Allen, Trey Simmons for Benedict. We have crazy amount of true freshmen who make impacts. Allen's Benedict's top 2 receivers, Troy Hillman and Malachi Jones, being true freshmen. If you remember Malachi Jones on a Thursday nighter against Edward Waters on ESPNU, he had 3 touchdowns in that game in front of the whole country. Allen, their top running back, Fabian Duncan. He ran for 135 last week against Fort Valley State. So Allen, they also have a massive special teams advantage in this game against Benedict. While Benedict, they have a little bit of better offense than the Yellow Jackets, but this Allen special teams is a lot better than Benedict's special teams. Benedict has yet to make a field goal this season, and Allen has 2 kick return touchdowns from Nanders Lawrence. That's the most in Division II with 2. I'm not making a pick on this game, but I'm telling you how both these teams can win. So it is going to be more of an even matchup than it's been in years past. It's not as high profile as it's been in years past, but it's still going to be a great game. And it is 2 pretty evenly matched teams in the Benedict Tigers and the Allen Yellow Jackets. Last thing I want to get to, Friday night SmackDown tomorrow. It will be in Colonial Life Arena, Columbia, South Carolina. The last time they were here was last summer. It was a double episode because they were going to Saudi Arabia the following week, so they taped 2 episodes in one night. But this episode will be a huge episode, just out of nowhere. Columbia is getting a huge episode. Roman Reigns is in town, doing what he's doing. Randy Orton's in town. Cody Rhodes is in town. We're probably going to have Jey Uso showing up to align with the old bloodline against the new bloodline. Andrade and Carmelo Hayes will have their 7th and final match of their incredible 7-match series. And also, man, 10-year-old me would have been so excited for this. I'm getting, when it happens, the Motor City Machine Guns are going to make their freaking debuts on WWE, and I'm going to be in the building. You have no clue how much I love Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. And I'm going to be in the building when they make their debuts on Friday Night SmackDown. Oh, man, that is going to be an insanely big, momentous occasion. Now, so far this year, I've been involved. I've been there for 2 big wrestling moments. AEW Revolution a lot. But, this first time for WWE programming that I've actually been in the building for, second time I've been in the building for something big happening. I was there when Logan Paul kind of made his first, real appearance as, an actual wrestler. Back when he was officially aligned with The Miz back 2 years ago. So that was something. Just for clarification, Logan Paul, on that night when he made his debut, you could have had Vladimir Putin walk out, and he would not have been as hated as Logan Paul. Logan Paul got booed more than anybody I've ever seen in my life. But with this, I was involved with that. And then for AEW, I was there for Sting's last match, and that's one of the greatest sports moments I've ever been a part of. But yeah, I will be there for Machine Guns' debut. I don't know if WWE is going to let them use the name Motor City Machine Guns because, a PG product having machine guns in it. You know what I mean? So I don't know if they're going to be allowed to use that, but it's interesting. And also, I didn't really talk about it. I know we have advancement of the Cody, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton saga. Maybe there's some other things that happen on the show, but yeah, it's mainly just Roman Reigns, the Cody, Orton, Kevin saga, and then the freaky Machine Guns are debuting. Holy crap. That's going to do it on this episode. I'm getting pretty consistent at these, between like 33, 35, 37 minutes. I'm very proud of myself. Granted, I talk very fast sometimes, so, it's cool. It's cool. Next episode, I'll try to get a NBA, like, very brief, maybe like one sentence, expectation for every team, if you will. But yeah, for the NBA, that'll be because the season tips off Tuesday, and by then also the WNBA season will be wrapped up as well. Yeah, tonight is Thursday night football. Also, Saints and Broncos playing. Rattler, a banged up Saints team with Rattler being thrust into the fire against the Bo Nix. This is what Thursday night football is all about. Just the worst football game you can ever imagine. And it's okay for the NFL because on Sunday Night Football, they're going to make up for it by shoving a washed-up Aaron Rodgers and washed-up Russell Wilson down our throats. So incredible work here, Roger Goodell. You've done great. But yeah, so it should be a good weekend. I'm going to call out both those games. If you manage to listen to this on a Sunday night, on a Thursday night, be there Friday night if you're near the Waxhaw, North Carolina area. XWW is going to have their annual cosplay show. Unfortunately, I will not be there for that. However, next Friday at Lenny Boy's Tap House is going to be, I believe the name is going to be Halloween Massacre in downtown Charlotte. Super excited for that. I already got my own little costume ready. I think I'm going to be Superman, like Clark Kent. So, like, I'm going to have, like a button-up shirt. Because I wear glasses, by the way. I'll have, like, a little button-up shirt. And then, like, have, like, a Superman shirt underneath. And have, like, the buttons come down a little bit. So, I think I can pull that off. So, yeah. So, thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you've listened to all these, thank you. But that should be all for today. So, yeah, thank you.